Today, we're uncovering the tragic story of the Rogers family, a mother and her two daughters who embarked on a vacation to Florida, unaware it would end in unimaginable horror. This tale is a sobering reminder of how a kind face can sometimes mask the darkest of intentions. Viewer discretion is advised. It was June 1989, and Jo Rogers, a 36-year-old single mother from rural Ohio, decided to take her daughters, Michelle, 17, and Christ, 14, on a long-awaited vacation to Florida. Running a dairy farm and working long hours didn't leave much time for trips, so this was a big deal for the family. They drove their car, a silver Oldsmobile, south to Florida, and stopped in Tampa, checking into a Days Inn motel near the bay. The motel would later play a pivotal role in piecing together their final moments. During their stay, the family captured snapshots of their trip, a smiling Jo and her daughters on the beach, happy and relaxed. These photos, found later in their camera, provide haunting glimpses of a family enjoying what should have been a joyful time. On their last evening in Tampa, the Rogers family crossed paths with a man whose charm masked his sinister intentions. He struck up a conversation, offering tips on the best places to visit, and even suggesting they take a sunset boat ride to see Tampa Bay from a unique perspective. He seemed friendly and helpful, and with no reason to distrust him, Jo and her daughters agreed to meet him later that evening for the trip. What happened next can only be pieced together from the evidence investigators found. The man met the family at the agreed location, lured them onto his boat, and took them out into the vast, dark waters of Tampa Bay. Somewhere in the open water, his demeanor shifted. He bound their hands and feet with rope, rendering them defenseless. The family's nightmare didn't end there. The man, later identified as Oba Chandler, carried out his cruel plan with chilling precision. One by one, he tied concrete blocks to the women's ankles and forced them overboard, leaving them to sink to the bottom of the bay. The exact details of those terrifying moments, their fear, their struggle, remain unknown, but the brutality of the act is undeniable. For several days, Jo, Michelle, and Christ were missing. Their motel room remained untouched, and their silver Oldsmobile sat abandoned in the parking lot. Investigators found their belongings inside the room, including their camera, which held photos of their vacation. These images, including a final haunting shot of the Days Inn motel sign, became key pieces of evidence in reconstructing the timeline of their last day. It wasn't until boaters discovered bodies floating in Tampa Bay that the investigation took a grim turn. Jo, Michelle, and Christ were found weighted down by the concrete blocks, their identities confirmed through dental records. Tampa police began the difficult task of unraveling the mystery of who was behind such a heinous crime. The break in the case came months later, when investigators found a handwritten note left in the Rogers family's car. It had directions to the boat launch where they had met Chandler. This clue, combined with witness statements and Chandler's distinctive handwriting, led to his arrest. Oba Chandler was no stranger to violence. He had a history of assault and manipulation, and his friendly persona hid a dark and twisted mind. During his trial, prosecutors detailed the meticulous planning that went into his crimes. His behavior showed no remorse, and the jury delivered a unanimous verdict. Chandler was sentenced to death. He was executed in 2011, more than 2 decades after the murders. The photos recovered from the family's camera remain a poignant reminder of the lives lost. Images of Jo, Michelle, and Christ laughing on the beach and exploring Florida contrast sharply with the reality of their final hours. A particularly chilling photo of the Days Inn sign, likely taken just before they met Chandler, feels like an eerie snapshot of the calm before the storm. The Rogers family's story is a heartbreaking tale of innocence shattered by evil. They were simply looking for adventure and happiness on a much-deserved vacation, only to fall victim to the cruelty of a man they thought they could trust. This tragedy sent shockwaves through the Tampa Bay community, serving as a reminder of how quickly joy can turn to sorrow. The memory of Jo, Michelle, and Christ lives on as a cautionary tale, a story that reminds us to treasure our loved ones and stay vigilant, even in seemingly safe moments. What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for more stories like this. Thank you for watching.